Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, there is a lot of talk at the moment about socially conscious consumers who, if they don't like how a business operates ethically, they go to a competitor. And that could be around things such as the environment, staff welfare and diversity, and any other bad news that gets publicised about that company. But on a more selfish level, I've now made a pact that if I call a business whose service I pay for and they force me to run through a series of press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and then ask the machine a question, I just simply move to a company where I can just speak to a human being. Maybe I'm a bit old school there. But on the flip side, this got me thinking, how can some businesses make every interaction matter and create those richer connections between them and their customers while others struggle? And how can they also manage business-critical customer interactions at scale? Because that's got to be one of the biggest challenges out there. And what technology makes that possible? Well, today I've invited Rami Riyad onto the podcast from imimobile, which you may remember was acquired by Cisco Systems back in February 21. But today we're going to learn more about how the company provides cloud communication software and services that help businesses manage those business-critical customer interactions at scale. And I also want to explore the right strategies that can make it possible to employ a single platform to deliver next-level customer experience and the kind of priorities that CX leaders should keep in mind for a successful 2022. And not only that, we'll also explore the future of messaging, how to reach consumers where they are, and how a CX leader can expedite their approach across multiple digital channels. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to the US, where he's waiting to share his story with us now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Neil. My name is Rami Riyad, and I head up our future messaging team. And really, our job is to work with our partners for launching new channels and features, and our customers that would like to engage with their end consumers through messaging and digital channels.
So if I was to take you back before the days of digital and messaging, where did your passion for tech come from? What lit the spark in you, and what was it that put you on this path that you're on now?
I come from really an engineering background, Neil. I was really fascinated with how things work and putting things together. So I ended up in this lovely industry and been in telecom since then. It's been almost 14 years now, putting things together and trying to get them to work.
Fantastic. And that path led you to what you're doing now. And I believe the company is a part of Webex too, and on a mission to make every interaction matter more, creating richer connections between businesses and their customers by using your technology. But can you offer an overview of what it is that you do and the kind of problems that you solve for your customers?
Yeah, so really the acquisition happened almost a year ago now, and we're part of the Webex team where really our CPaaS platform or communication platform as a service is really used to enable enterprises to talk to their consumers wherever they are. So if you think of like a bank or a pharmacy or even like a retail store, your customer not only comes through the door, but they reach out to you on several channels, whether it's WhatsApp, Apple Messages for Business, or Google Business Messages. They come to you to ask you a question. Where's my order? How do I pick up? What are your hours today? And also come to you if they have a problem. They would like to talk to someone to solve that problem. And a lot of people right now are not I would call the millennial generation really is if there's a message us option, why not? Why pick up the phone and talk to someone if you can resolve your problem through messaging? And that's really what we've been focused on is enabling these enterprises to embrace these digital messages through our tools and platforms to allow that interaction to happen on a personalized manner with their consumers.
So I suppose the big question has to be, because there's so much different viewpoints out there, is in your view, what are the right strategies and how can they make it, and how can businesses make it possible to employ a single platform to deliver that next level customer experience that customers are increasingly demanding? Because I recently read that the last best experience that you have anywhere becomes the future expectation of what you expect everywhere. But what are the best right strategies, would you say?
I would honestly, it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. Every enterprise is going to be a little bit different. But the key message is start, right? Start somewhere where you know where your customers are coming from, whether they're coming through a WhatsApp channel or coming through search or coming through maps. Meet your customer where they are. Start putting something out there. And there are some findings from research that basically 75% cite a good customer service is a reason for repeat business, like you were saying. Customers are willing to pay more for a better experience. So why not give them that, right? Meet them where they are, rather than direct them to a 3-hour wait on a phone call, but offer them the option to message you instead and speak to one of your agents.
And I think you bang on the money where you said that there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. Everyone's got unique requirements. But I do suspect you see a lot of brands making the exact same mistake. So what priorities should CX leaders be keeping in mind this year, do you think?
I would say start simple. Put something out there, because the one thing that we see is if you're going to wait for an end-to-end experience to be 100% covering all the use cases and all the different parts of your business, it's going to take forever, Neil. You know what I mean? Like you're going to start measuring in quarters, but you want something out there, then put it out there, gather feedback, reiterate, change it, and adapt to what your customers and listen to what your customers are telling you. If you think of some of the new channels that are coming out, like Google Business Messages, one of their key metrics is measuring CSAT scores, right? Are customers happy with the experience or not? No. And that should be your driving factor to designing better experiences every day.
And as we record the podcast today, I think it's exactly 2 years since the world started locking down. And I remember I was in Chicago at the time, and I think the last flight back to the UK was on the Tuesday, and I flew back on the Sunday night. But so much has changed in the last 2 years, and I'm curious, what do you think the future of messaging will look like?
So we don't see a slowdown. I think the world evolved and adapted these channels and these new entry points like there's no tomorrow, right? And we just don't see them slowing down. There's an explosion of channels around us. We're launching Instagram soon. You don't know what's next. Like, is it going to be the next TikTok? You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of thing we need to look out for. And that's what really our team is focused on, is working with our partners to see what's the next new feature, what's the next new channel that we can bring in and allow our customers to try and experiment with and even launch at a larger scale.
And I think in the same way that most of us will watch a TV show on Netflix on the TV, we may watch the rest of it on a tablet in bed, or maybe even our phone on the way to work. We have that seamless experience across every device, whichever's closest to hand at that moment in time. And it's very much like that with messaging as well. And we've all got different groups, whether it be on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or iMessage. And there's a long list of other apps out there as well. So do you have any tips for business leaders listening on how they can better use technology to reach consumers where they are and where they prefer to be contacted?
Yeah, so it's really about what you just said. It's a seamless experience of picking up where you left off. And that's what we want every enterprise to have with their end customer. It doesn't matter. You remember to ask about your order because you're on WhatsApp talking to friends and family, then you can ask them there, right? But suddenly you're on your same device, but on Maps looking for something, and you remember, oh, where's my order? Let me ask here. You know what I mean? So It's kind of like, one, meet your customers where they are, because that's really important. You know where they're coming from. But also offer them that flexibility that you're not just stuck to one channel and only one channel.
And the way we communicate and the way we work and learn has just transformed dramatically in that short 2 years. So for any CX leaders listening to understand just how quickly the world is evolving and how possibly it's never going to move this slow again as it is right now, how can they expedite their approach across digital channels with solutions like CPaaS?
I would selfishly say find a partner.
Yeah.
Start working with that partner to build that first experience. Or if you have an existing use case, find a partner that would look at it with you, bring in the right people to say, okay, what's next? How do we improve on it? How do we launch the first use case? How do we bring in a new channel into the fold? And that willingness to work with all the parties that are involved to bring that to life.
And I'm curious, what about yourselves? What's next for you? Is there anything you can share about what you're focusing on right now, and also what you've got one eye on in the future, what excites you, etc.?
I think we're excited about the opportunities that all the new channels like Instagram and WhatsApp are bringing. We've all seen some of the commercials that WhatsApp have been running in the US about how they're looking at that market to expand the usage in there. So that's really exciting. We think Google Business Messages also has a huge potential alongside Apple Business Messages or the rebrand, Apple Message for Business, where it's going to cover 100% of the users. So I think that really gives us more options and more entry points into that messaging ecosystem, other than that outbound message where you have a list of customers that you're sending these messages to. That's what we're looking really out for is how do we bring these to life with some of our customers.
Fantastic. And we began the podcast talking about your origin story, and now we've come full circle. I'm going to ask you if there was a song, movie, book, or anything that has inspired or helped you in your career that we can add to either our Spotify playlist or Amazon wish list for the books, etc. Is there an inspirational story that you can share and a choice? And we'll leave everyone listening on an inspirational note.
I think the book, a very close friend and more like a mentor gave it to me, is Turn the Ship Around. And really it's about adapting to different styles of leaderships and understanding how to bring change to your organization. And that's really how we disrupt it, right? We bring new ideas, we bring new concepts and new innovative ideas to the leadership team. How do you handle that change and how do you manage it? So I think it's a really good book to read.
Awesome. And I'll get that added to our Amazon wish list. And for everybody listening that wants to dive a little bit deeper into the world that we've talked about today, I appreciate we've only scratched the surface, but equally covered so much in a short amount of time. So anyone wanting to find out more information, what's the best starting point?
I think the best thing is to go to our website, imimobile.com. We have a ton of information there. You can reach out to schedule some time with one of us if you would like. And we're happy to jump on a call and talk.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of the priorities leaders should be keeping in mind for a successful year this year. Also talking about the future of messaging, how to reach consumers where they are. So much food for thought there. I'll be interested in what everybody listening thinks and what their big takeaways are. But more than anything, thank you for coming on, talking about all that and sharing your story too. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil, for having me today.
So I want to hear your experiences as a consumer, as a CX leader, and someone that might be looking to expedite your approach across multiple digital channels. What works for you? What doesn't? Email me now, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram @Neil C. Hughes, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you can also work with me if you need any help with your business blogs, CEO's Thought Leadership blogs, and also help setting up your own podcast where I'll do all the editing and everything for you. But that's it for today's episode, so a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.